Welcome everyone to Voice of Terminus show number 13. Today's topic is the Shaman Class discussion, and I am joined today by my wonderful co-host Lindsay. Say hello.
Hello everybody.
And we have Leksur with us again. Say hello, Lex.
Hey everybody.
And just to inform everybody, Meridius has gone absent. We do not know what's going on at the moment with him. So just for you guys not to worry or anything like that, we're giving him a bit of time. We don't know what's going on. We hope to hear from him soon. We're going to kick it off right now. We have Kodiack as well. Say hello, Kodiack.
Good afternoon.
And as it is, we're going to speculate today on the Shaman, and I'm going to quickly go and read it off for you guys. The Shaman. It is rumoured that the Shaman live in every age at once. Thus, Shamans know the ancestry of any friend or foe, wielding this knowledge to great benefit or baneful cost. So that's basically the write-up we have about Shamans at the moment. We tossed in, of course, a few questions that we're going to go through and speculate on. I'm going to go quickly read through them. How should the Shaman's role fit in with the group? What style should the Shamans identify to? Meaning basically clothing-wise and appeal and everything. Should Shamans be more towards the EverQuest or EverQuest 2 style? Should Shamans have its specific alchemy crafting ability like it was in the original EverQuest? Should Shamans have more variety of pets? As we know, they were limited to, I think it was a wolf or something like that. In EverQuest 2, I don't know what it was in EverQuest 1. So we're going to kick it off, and who wants to start? How should the Shaman's role fit in within the group?
Well, Shamans, of course, should be a healer, hands down, primarily. Of course, back to the difference in the healers, clerics, druids, shamans. Of course, they're not going to heal as good as a cleric, because they basically buff the group. They slow the mobs, stuff like that, versus the way, a cleric does large heals and hit point buffs and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I think EverQuest 1 had the shaman roll down pretty well. If you're a healer, your buffs definitely will overshadow your heals, but you give a lot of utility to a group. I've seen groups run with 2 healers, one being a cleric, one being a shaman. I've had shamans just for slowing. I've had some for DPS. I would love to see that maintained.
Yeah, I like to see shamans too also being the guys who cure a lot of kind of like the disease or poison type, damages, stuff like that. Because they're more like almost on the lines of kind of a witch doctor, so to speak, spiritual medicine.
Yeah.
Kind of almost like your American Native Indians. So I kind of like to see it kind of in that realm, so to speak. And of course, they obviously can do some healing remedies and stuff like that.
Yeah, saying that, I would almost interested. I don't know if it would ever work because it just popped in my head, but make a shaman almost like a good guy necromancer with all beneficial spells instead of harmful spells, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Technically, you're still instead of dealing with things that are dead, you're dealing with spirits of things that are dead. So
yeah, I like to see that too, because like the American Native Indians, they use spiritualism and ghosts and spirit of the eagle or spirit of the bear. So I like to see kind of things like along that lines where they're kind of a good spirit. They deal with good spirits or something like that, and they can kind of ward off some evil spirits, perhaps.
I mean, from the description, it almost sounds as if they're going in that direction. They are of all ages, and they know all of the ancestry of friend or foe and everything. So basically, it's kind of an Indian subscription what they've put down towards what the shaman is going to be like. And if you think about shaman, like you said, Dan, already, shamans were in Indian times. They were the witch doctors, the people of knowledge. They would send you to their tents, and they would go off on meditation runs for hours, days on end, figuring out how to surpass the evil or whatever. Healing wise, I don't know how it was in EverQuest, but in EverQuest 2, it was you had three different kinds of healing styles. You had your direct heals, which were for your clerics and inquisitions. You had your heals over time that were for the druid classes, and you had your wards that were for the shaman classes. How, should they go for something like that? Should he have? Yes, he can heal less, but should he just be able to heal less, or should he have a different ability compared to what the cleric would do with a direct heal? Should he be able to ward something? Should he be able to heal over time? A class member in the group. How should they approach that?
Well, I played a shaman up till level 30 in EverQuest 1, 45 in EverQuest 2. I really enjoyed the change of pace for the EverQuest 2 shaman, where you were basically buffing people with wards, and that would prevent damage, and you could still heal, just it's not that great. So you would ward, and then if they get through the ward, you'd start healing as you're placing your next ward, or you would have heals that would heal and ward, stuff like that. I love that.
Back to, so like in EQ2, the ward was like a big bubble that you put around the thing or whatever. It'd be cool if it was actually like like you summoned a spirit or something to take damage instead of just a ward bubble around.
Somebody's got their speakers on. It's coming through.
Yeah, looking at some of the role of shaman, like in the American Indian setting. They were kind of like mystics too. They had the ability to communicate with the actual spirit world, and leave their body and enter the supernatural and stuff like that. So kind of going along the lines, maybe even looking at like spell types that could actually banish or protect the group from actual, spirit type mobs. Enemy spirits that are coming in, say that are launched by another mob on you. But the shaman can actually cast this like buff that just like protects everybody, and it keeps those spirits at bay around you, so you can like kind of like deal with them, almost like a crowd control, almost, so to speak. Or they can even banish them completely, like just poof, make a mob disappear. That would be kind of cool too. Or you could do
like the kind of like we were saying about like the necro aspect. Is like when a mob dies, Necro can basically control that, like it would bring a undead pet into the world and he could use it for whatever. Or maybe when a mob dies, they can control that spirit to buff the group or something as a positive to the group.
That's a neat idea too. Almost like using your opponent's soul as fuel for your spell.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool too. I mean, some of the cool stuff too would be like maybe symbolic magic, incantations, war dances, rain dances, hunting dances. Certain things like that. To actually cleansing rituals and stuff, so to speak.
Right.
Sense, kind of.
So for every mob that dies, you take their spirit, and maybe that's what creates the ward for the next mob.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I like to have something like that in that sense.
One thing that, with the shaman being in almost every EverQuest game, primarily about buffs. Since I've played them in both EverQuest 1 and 2, I can certainly tell you that keeping and maintaining your buffs is a huge pain in the butt. But EverQuest 2 had it right to a certain degree, where your group buffs, you just cast it and boom, it's maintained. You can only maintain so many at a time.
I didn't like what EQ2 did with buffs. Meaning that you had to be grouped with the person. I always liked what EQ1 did with buffs.
That's where I had an issue with it.
Cast it on whoever. Hey, I just want to go solo for 20 minutes. Go pick up some buffs and go do what you need to do. You don't need to be grouped with them like you did in EQ2 in order to absorb that bard's buff or the shaman buffs or the cleric buffs or anything like that.
Yeah, I think a nice way to get around that would be you only have to cast it once on your group, and it's maintained until they leave the group.
Well, I mean, that'd be cool, because like in EQ1 with Temp, you had to invite the people to your group, you cast the Temp, everybody in the group got the Hand of Virtue or Hand of whatever, and then you could disband the group and take your money and run,
And on the other, and to kind of merge the two together, if someone's outside the group, like Dal's playing and I want to buff his pet, well, he's not in the group, so why can't I cast a spell on him, but just give it a duration instead of having me maintain it? Because all the maintaining is I don't have to recast it.
I mean, I'm going to go on the fence on this one, because I used to hate it when people, it's definitely a good thought, but it's got to be thought really well, because I used to hate it when people just used to run along and just buff me with any kind of shit. For whatever reason, just because you're friendly, it's a very nice gesture, but why the fuck do you buff me without asking? Yeah, because I might be trying something out, I might be testing something, I might be, it shouldn't be a you can do it period, because it is kind of ignorant, and it kind of takes away, it comes back to the fact that we've always been complaining about everything being made easier and everything, and this comes back into that point where you can buff everybody outside.
If you're in a group with them, then yeah, you should automatically accept that buff.
Yeah,
but maybe
exactly.
Right. Maybe if you're outside a group and somebody just runs past or whatever, it just says, do you accept this or do you decline it? Like a little pop-up.
Yeah.
You can auto-decline or auto-accept or whatever. I mean, I guess that would make it more, I don't mind. Anybody can run up to me and give me any freaking buff, any run speed, float, whatever. If somebody Necro runs by and gives me Dead Man floating, well, I freaking hate it. I just click it off and move on with my day. But,
The only drawback I see is, if I remember this correctly, I could be wrong, I could be mistaken, but like you could have a high level, let's just say clarity spell, and then somebody comes along and casts clarity 2 on, and somebody comes by and casts clarity 1, it overwrites your clarity 2. Like the buffs used to overwrite each other.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
That's the only thing that would be a pain in the ass. But usually, most people didn't run by and just put shit on you unless you were, a newbie in a newbie zone. Then that was cool. Hey, thanks. I needed that. But for the most part, I don't know. I think that's rare, few in between. I guess it depends on the individual person. But overall, I think AOE or single target, works. It controls that. I don't think most people are going to run through. So OCD's kicking.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
OCD.
I don't think it matters. If I don't like it, I click it off and then I go on with my day. It doesn't that big of a deal.
Well, it's like I like the group. You cast it once on your group, it's maintained for the whole grouping.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about timers. You don't got to worry about refreshing stuff in the middle of a fight. It's just easier. But I feel being able to buff others, like going to a newbie zone and just doing a buff station for people, that helps the community, which helps the game.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to kind of do something halfway between them both. Allow me to group out of group people with the same spells I use to buff my group. But if you're in my group, when you
like
leave,
what you were saying with the, like when I was in group in EQ2, basically because they had 5 concentration points, though you could have those buffs running 24/7. You never had to recast them or whatever, right? But anything over and above that, you may have to maintain those by, every hour or whatever, recasting something, and or when you're out of somebody's group, of course, you have to target them to cast it.
Well, you had your short-term and your long-term buffs basically in EverQuest 2. They completely revamped the system, because it used to be that you had to cast them every so-and-so many hours again, and then they basically took that away because people were complaining that they had to keep them rebuffing and everything, so they basically made it a maintainable spell, but you still had your short-term buffs that you had to cast and everything, like, because there should be, basically we don't want to be hand-fed. I have to remember to fucking cast my spells. I know it's a pain in the ass, but that's my job, to remember that that's why we have set timers when the bard casts his whatever spell. I can't remember what it was called in EverQuest 2 for max DPS. It had to be timed throughout the groups.
Hey, wake up!
Yeah.
If I was playing a shaman and they didn't have the maintain system, it was just basically EverQuest 1. Biggest problem is I want to be able to see clearly, because my eyes are terrible. I want to clearly be able to see how long I have on the buffs on certain people. I want an easy way to find out what ones are about to expire, so that way I know, okay, if Dal's the main DPS and I've got this really wicked DPS buff, the minute it's getting close to going down, I need to know so that I can cast at the minute I got a free chance without interrupting my heals and causing the group to wait.
I played an EQ1 Shaman for a long time, and it's really not that big of a deal, because as you started getting AAs and everything, and the timers would go longer and longer, you would just stop whatever the grinding you're doing, take 5 minutes, rebuff everybody, get back to full mana, and then go right back to grinding. It never really was that big of a deal.
I like the rebuff time because that gives you guys downtime and also gives you time to socialize a little bit too and talk. Gives you kind of a bit of a break too. So the rebuff time is a nice thing to have.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but they talk
Those
about
are very good
interacting,
points.
Downtime.
Very good
That's
points.
good downtime. You know.
That's positive downtime. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I would continue to keep the buffing and keep timers and stuff like that too, because if you could sit there and play for like 10 hours and not cast a buff, come on.
I mean, and also
Really?
it used to be whatever your shortest buff was. Let's say your stamina buff was only an hour and 10 minutes, and all your other ones were an hour and a half or hour 45 or whatever. And whenever that first buff dropped, guess what? You just recast all of them,
Yeah.
and
Well,
you start over. Like I said, it never really was a problem for me ever playing a shaman before in the past doing that.
Yeah.
with
Well,
buffs.
I think too,
I think
another
it's more
thing.
of a problem at lower levels. Like
Yeah,
a
your lower
buff
levels,
takes
yeah.
like a quarter of your mana.
Because when you get up in higher levels too, you got to think too that you're also your timing
Yeah,
buffs
your
and
mana
stuff like that
pool,
actually last longer. Your mana pool's a little bit bigger, so I think it'll eventually balance out in the long run. But when you're a lower level, it should be a little rougher and a little tougher because you're gaining
Yeah, you gotta
experience. You gotta learn
Yeah.
your character, right? So like laugh out loud. Yeah, 10-hour buffs. Yeah, Oxilian. Yeah, you can't have 10-hour buffs. I mean, that's stupid.
No,
That's
is
just-
stupid.
That's just taking it way too far.
What they did for EverQuest 2, because of the group buffing, for instance, they made that a permanent cast. So basically, once you've cast your typical group buffs, your strength buff, etc., whatever you've had as group buffs, and you died or the group died, when you were you revived, the buffs were still going. You didn't have to recast them because I remember my warden, it took me about 5 minutes to buff do all my buffing. It took me 5 minutes basically, and that's 5 minutes downtime you don't necessarily need to waste on freaking casting. So they kind of made it so that all the group buffs were cast once within that group, and that was it.
I mean, you think about the living codex, right? So you have that main buff, let's say a stamina buff, right? You can always add that ruin to extend the time, or add 2 ruins to give it double the time, to make it better, stronger, whatever, reduce the cast time on it, reduce the mana consumption on it. I mean, there's 3 little ruins that you can put in every single spell. So, I mean, there's ways to modify it or to make it better for your playstyle.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Did we
think
get
the reason I feel
sidetracked?
the way I do, simply
Well, we
because
got talking about buffs.
Yeah, okay.
well,
Because we were discussing how should the shamans roll the fit in the group.
Yep.
yeah.
Well,
But,
I mean, it
the main reason
that goes to any buffs. If it's a druid's damage shield or a cleric's temp or virtue or whatever it is, they should be able to add the augs or the ruins to make it last longer, reduce the mana consumption, whatever the case may be.
Right. And I think the only reason I took the stance that I have on the whole buffs, like with EverQuest 2 and the concentration, is because, like I said, I didn't play much of a shaman. And so I never got to the end game, and buff timers were just a pain in my butt when I just wanted to get moving. But I did play a raiding Beast Lord. I can't even count how many times, because they give you a lot of these really, really low duration buffs that are fantastic. They're like almost doubles the DPS of a melee person kind of buffs.
Oh, the low level shaman buffs that they gave you?
No, these were Beast Lord specific, but they were like for the next 25 seconds, all your DPS is like doubled kind of buffs.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like you don't miss, you hit for a lot more, and you crit more, stuff like that. And I actually had to make macros to buff the people that wanted it, because I couldn't keep up with it in the middle of the raid, and I had to keep casting this stuff over and over because that was one of my jobs. So buffing to me is a pain in the butt, but that's just me.
Right. So let's get away from buffing and let's get back into the concept of how should the shaman's role fit into the
Buffing
group.
makes everybody awesome.
Let's go and recap what we said already. So basically, shamans, if we think about Indian times, ritualists and stuff like that, that's
I'd
how.
say,
That's
yeah,
how
I'd say
we
like
think.
Native American Indians is where
Witch
I'm getting
doctors,
I'm
yeah.
getting my idea from a lot of the shamans, spiritual type stuff. They were kind of like they're considered the medicine men or the mystery men. So I always kind of like the American Native Indian shaman.
So if we take that example now from Tao, yeah, a shaman, American Indian history, rituals, voodoo doctor, witch doctor, whatever you want to call it, where would that put the shaman within the group functionality-wise?
I would
Or
think
just a utility.
they would keep it pretty standard where it is now, like healing, but with more utility than heals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
EQ1 I think had a really good balance of shaman. You know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for the most part, it did. I'd like to see some new stuff though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah, like
I got some new ideas for Alchemy when we start talking about
yeah,
that.
because the shaman's mostly he deals with spirits and stuff like that, and I kind of want to see that kind of get back to the spiritual side because they always believed in like spirits inhabited the rivers, lakes, mountains, forests, trees, plants, the sky,
What
stars.
about
maybe they have
sun,
to consume spirits?
moon,
So you as you go out
fish,
and
flowers,
kill bears and you kill wolves
birds.
and you kill certain things, maybe you start storing like in that red mana or whatever, right? Maybe shamans store the spirit of the wolves. Every wolf that they kill is 10 wolf spirits, right? So they can cast SOW 10 times or something like that. Like you have to we're
That's
talking about
interesting.
consumable stuff or in order to cast certain abilities. I mean, I don't know, that's an idea.
Yeah, see, I kind of like the idea. I mean, because like just Dark Soul just pointed out like air, earth, water, fire spirits. That was the summoner. While you have the shaman who deals with a lot of the nature spirits. A lot more of that type of stuff. Because it's more interesting though, I think, and it's the spiritual side of it.
It should only though. It should only be though to the typical creatures that they identify to. If you think about it, in Indian times, it was the crow, it was the bear, it was the wolf, it was the eagle. It should be specific.
It's mostly animals.
Yeah.
It was mostly animals. I mean, because if you look at it right now, the medicine man, I'm just looking at like a good example, American Native Indian shamans. It was like animals, insect, fish, stuff like that. While your druid stuff would probably be on the rivers, lakes, mountains, forests, your tree huggers, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, thorns.
Yeah.
Grasping roots, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take this ability as well when the monster, the animal falls or anything, it takes a bit of that life, absorbs it, basically, and that comes out as a little heal or a mana boost or whatever towards the group.
Yeah, I like to see the shaman deal more with spirits, destroying spirits, warding off spirits, that type of stuff too.
Well, even their debuffs, right? Let's talk about their debuffs because they used to slow the mobs and whatever, right? Well, maybe if it is a creature that has a spirit, whether it's an animal or a person, because I guess that doesn't really. I mean, because a golem doesn't really have a spirit, an undead doesn't really have a spirit, but maybe it does a little bit more damage or more effect to like an animal or a humanoid because they do technically have a spirit,
Yeah.
Kind of like we were talking about with the Dread Knights or whatever they're called.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of touched on something there with the idea what we pulled up with the Dire Lord.
Dire Lord.
Yeah. So it's actually a really interesting thought to give the classes. It's a class specific identity as well. It makes your classes more unique, even though there's nothing special really about them, but it gives you that unique feel. Like the Dire Lord could attract the undead or control the undead. The shaman would be able to use the spirits of these said animals that are nature's realm, or the druid with everything that's nature-wise, water, trees, air, stuff like that. It's an interesting way to go because
then it gives those classes a unique identity too, and that player can be like, I specialize in this part of the game. I deal with all the spirits in the world.
Yep.
Well, the Dreadlord can bring in and attract the dead, and then just vice versa. As long as they keep along that line, then every class has a unique identity in the game instead of just being like every other game out there that says, hey, we have unique classes, everybody. And every website tells you we have unique classes, but it's all the same garbage.
Yep.
But the way if they could go with this is that everybody does have something unique in the game. That shaman can sit there and blast spirits away or call in spirits,
I mean,
good spirits.
He could basically
like that.
Like we were talking on, killing wolves.
Necro thing too, but
necromancers tend to deal more with the dead cadavers and crap.
It's like let's go back
Resurrecting
to
the dead.
let's go back to the different spirit elements. Like, let's say for instance now we took the wolf. He goes and kills such an X amount of wolves. That gives the group. He can then buff the group with either speed, or you kill such an amount of bears. That gives you the group a strength buff, because bears were technically they were related to strength, power. They were powerful beings. Whereas the hawk, I think it was for the all-seeing eye. You could see vast. You could look really deep into the world and stuff like that. That would be another interesting thing to do, depending on what he kills and how many times he's killed and absorbed these spirit anchors or whatever you want to call them. It would give him a buff that he could buff for the group for a period of time, like a strength buff or a speed buff or I don't know, a mana buff or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see something unique for the shaman. I mean, because going back to it, shamans dealt with good spirits and they also dealt with the bad spirits. That can wreak havoc on you.
Yeah, fish for water breathing.
And the shaman has the power to do over these. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same with like back when we were talking about consuming things. Like they used to have to have fish gills for water breathing. You used to have bat wings for levitate. There should be some type of. That's why I said even somebody mentioned something about mana storage for different aspects. So you have to go kill bears to get the bear mana or whatever to cast certain spells or the whatever animal. It could be just a general animal spirit and doesn't have to be animal specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Even if just visually, I'd like to see more spiritual influence. Like you cast So on your group, and you get a pack of spectral wolves flying through everybody's model.
Yeah, or you see dream catchers, or like say a spell that you cast.
Back to like their armor.
And it shows like a dream catcher, and that actually absorb, because technically in a Native American belief was that the dream catcher would catch the evil spirits, the evil dream.
That's what we were talking about, the way they look, identify or whatever. That's what I was saying, like their armor should have like potion vials and dream catchers and just cool shamanistic type things.
Are we onto the equipment? Because I got some cool stuff for equipment.
Well, I think we can move on to the next question then. What style should shamans identify to? Meaning, what clothing aspects should a shaman appeal to? How should he be identified to when he comes into the world? How should we view him? So I think let Dow kick that off then. Dow, go on then.
Yeah, let's go with stuff like masks, rattles, drums, like gestures, dances, certain sounds of symbolic powers of shamans, to enter the spirit world or to fend off evil spirits. I'd love to see a lot of that. Almost like the American Indian, if you can think about the American Indian shamans, headdresses perhaps, some feathers, face paints, stuff like that.
I just thought of something cool.
Tassels and beads.
Yeah, tassels, beads.
I think
leatherware, yes, definitely leatherware.
Even if you and I have the same exact horse, I think your horse, because you're a summoner, should look different than my horse because I'm a shaman. We should be able to like have like little skulls hanging off the side of the saddlebags or whatever.
Skulls of spirit animals, stuff like that. I love to see the shaman more into the spiritual side and stuff like that. Definitely. Yeah. And also like and
he should be able to cast charms as well.
Yeah, weapons. Yeah. I mean, the weapons would be really cool too. Like like spirit totems,
spears,
any type. These objects. Bones. You name it. Just stuff like that. Typical things like that. Little objects that would be like your weapons, or just to give you a visual look of the character. Sure.
Any other thoughts from anyone else?
I think chainmail is what, of course, that's what EQ1 has, and EQ2 has them in chainmail because they do take a lot of aggro from buffs and healing that they need that extra hit points. Because when you're talking with most races that they're going to be shamans, they're going to be like the more warrior type. They're not going to have the avoidance of like an elf or any of that type of stuff. So they're going to, a druid would be an elf. And they would have a lot more avoidance in their natural racial abilities versus an ogre,
Yeah.
Well, here's something that kind of brings off just a little bit, like shapeshifting. All EverQuest ones could shapeshift. Should they just do the same, like, oh, he shapeshifts into a bear? Should they be able to do different, like almost like a druid from WoW, where they can do different animals to gain different aspects of that animal?
The shaman?
Yeah.
No, I don't think the shaman should be able to change into an animal.
I think they should be able to summon different animals instead of just having that same wolf.
Yeah, spirits.
Maybe they should be able to summon a bear spirit or a wolf spirit or a hawk spirit or a whatever to help out. And you have give those spirits different attributes, whether it's it helps out with DPS or it helps out with tanking or it helps out with whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, deer skins. I mean, you got deer skins you can think about. I mean, prayer sticks, like that. Just make it like more of a Native American shaman.
I would love to see just a Native American twist on the shaman, even if it's just visually, because it would make it feel completely different. And I love the Native American.
I just love I love the art. Yeah, I love the art, the style.
There was one thread in the forums about the appearance of shamans, basically. Like for instance, instead of having a diamond stud earring in his ear, that technically does not fit there. So the idea was basically giving him visual tattoos, for instance, instead of earrings and stuff like that. Because they did have face paint and stuff on their faces when they went and did rituals and all kinds of stuff.
They had jewelry too. They used a lot of turquoise too. Turquoise is one of their big things that was very important in Native American Indian. So, yeah, I love to see them go that route. I think it'd be really awesome because you can come out with some beautiful art, some beautiful armor, just different styles, and it would really make it look like it's part of the spirit world, and it deals with the spiritual side of the world.
I mean, Joshua Monk just said it would be great to have the outline of the bear around the shaman, which mirrors the movement. Well, I would do it differently. If the shaman used now he cast the spirit, for instance, of the bear, and that was his pet. It's when he moves, when he walks, he'd leave bear prints behind him. Or he'd leave wolf prints behind him. So you'd see, instead of him doing his normal walk, and you'd see the prints of these animals that he's representing. So if it was a hawk, you'd see wings flapping. So you know what stance he's in.
That would be interesting and very easy to add in from a developer point of view.
That is kind of a cool idea, actually. I like that. That would be cool.
Why is Leksur not wearing pants?
You could know whether if he was in bear stance or wolf stance or whatever, like different totems or something, to give you different attributes. Maybe one has better healing, or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff they can do. I mean,
you can go as far as someone mentioned spirit armor. So what if you cast a buff called spirit armor on somebody, and now all of a sudden they got like this translucent breastplate on themselves or something?
Yeah, or even the bones. Like a bone armor too.
Yep.
Made of bone and leather and twine, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Leather straps.
Yeah,
hold
but
it together.
I think that they should take it that much further and have you be able to either customize your horse or have it, your mounts look like the class. Because who wants to ride around with a fire-breathing mount when you're a?
Yeah, we talked about the mounts earlier on, me and Leksur. That's something we should touch on when we go into crafting, because I think when it comes to mounts and stuff, crafters should be able to actually do stuff for people that have mounts. Craft, certain stuff that you can put on your mount. Like for instance,
they had horseshoes.
Yeah, hooves, exactly.
Horseshoes, that's how you increase the speed of your mount.
Exactly. So that's something we're definitely going to talk about. Anyway, any other ideas towards the style, or we'll move on to the next question?
I think that's pretty good.
We pretty much talked on the EQ1 versus EQ2 also with the buff duration.
So we'll go on to the next one. So should the shamans have its specific alchemy crafting ability? So in original EQ, it was that the shamans could they had the ability in alchemy to craft stuff. Should that be the same in Pantheon? Should we have class-specific crafting abilities?
Yes, I think so. I do think though that they should only be able to create items that they can actually cast. So healing potions, stamina potions, shrink, grow, stuff that they can actually cast. I know that Alchemy kind of went to the weird, being able to teleport. Well, if I can't teleport as a shaman, well, how can I bottle that up and sell it to somebody? Give that as a class specific trade skill for a wizard or for a druid. Somehow they can write a scroll, and then that's how you can do it. But anyway, they should only be able to bottle up what they can use. Now, taking that into consideration, I also think that they should be able to take that shrink spell or that shrink bottle or shrink or grow or buff or debuff or whatever and use it against the mobs. Let's say I had a shrink potion and I threw it out into a horde of mobs. They all shrinked, and basically it decreased their stamina or something. Or we made them
or their
grow,
strength or whatever.
And now it slowed them. Because now they're dumb and stupid because they're big. Something cool. Do something cool with the potions. Not just that you consume them, but that you can actually use them in battle.
Yep. And I'm pretty much on the same train as Kodiack on this one. I mean, is what really ticked me off in EverQuest 1 was shamans making potions that would basically the exact same as enchanters' mana regeneration spells. It's like, you can't cast that, so why the hell are you selling it?
Let
bottle
the
what you
enchanters
can
somehow let the enchanters do that so they can make income selling mana, basically,
Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to get into this whole class-specific crafting tree, which I think is going to be, it could be awesome, but anyways.
Yeah, we'll leave that to the to a later point in time. Oops, my monitor just went boops. What happened there? So, no further thoughts on alchemy crafting ability, because then we'll go on to the next question, which would be, should shamans have more variety of pets? And while you guys do that, I've got to go and fix my monitor.
Well, the thing with the pets, I think that they should, like as
Spirits.
EQ1, they could only have
Spirit pets.
the wolf,
I'd stick with spirit type pets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not beast lords. No, I get it. But as far as spirit pets, anyways, they should be able to have different kind of like what you were talking about, like with the World of Warcraft. You got the cat, you got the wolf, or you got the cat, which is more DPS. You got the bear, which is maybe more of a tank. You've got the hawk, which is maybe more of a ranged or something like that. But that way you can interchange them. Not to the effect of, let's say, a summoner. Don't give them that much flexibility, but something than just the one single wolf.
Or the spirit or the pets they have don't have to exactly be offensive either. They could be say they cast a hawk, and that hawk actually circles the group, and every once in a while, buffs you. A certain buff that spirit gives you will sit there and automatically buff you. So they don't have to necessarily be all offensive. It can be more of a defensive type spirits as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, because if you are going to go offensive, maybe that wolf is the offensive spirit, but maybe the bear is.
Guys, you've just disappeared on me.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
I got dropped or something.
Same here.
I can't tell the stream. The stream's still good. We have
Shaman hit me. I'm a spirit.
Technical issues.
We've been hit.
Some shaman is messing with us.
Somebody's messing. Oh, here we go. We're coming back.
Well, I'm coming back. Check your cameras, guys.
My camera went on and it's off, and now it's.
What's going on? We're getting attacked.
Technical difficulty. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there's so many different
Who's
spirits.
hating on
Like you
us?
said, spirit of the monkey, the wolf, the bear, the cat, the snake. All these different spirits that that the shamans control. That you can either make them either a buff or you can make them an ally.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it depends. I think they can really do some cool stuff with it, and maybe they can have some offensive type, spirits, and then some non. So I like to see them do some stuff with that, make it different.
Question that came up in chat as well is we can kind of talk about that as well at the same time. Is weapons wise, what kind of weapons should the shamans be able to use?
Like in Ark where you have to stop and take a poop. Every now and then a shaman has to stop and smoke his peace pipe.
Yeah.
Well, I like to.
They have to keep a certain level of highness,
Oh yeah, okay.
Do that for
Trance
shaman
time, right?
self-buff.
Trance time. for the shaman tranches.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly. They can't. They gotta stay in that level.
You're gonna go to the sweat lodge and create a sweat lodge right there on the battlefield. Go in. Everybody's gonna go in and smoke out with the shaman, right? Yo, dude, you brought some good stuff. Yeah.
It'd be interesting if they used, like, instead of mana, you had to use like some kind of spirit call. You had to harvest spirits around you, not necessarily ones that you've killed, but you had to smoke your peace pipe to give you the buff so that you could see spirits, so that you could harvest them.
Well, imagine the following, right? Before we can even go off as a group, the shaman would have to set up a tent. We'd all have to get in there, sit in his teepee around this massive fire, and then smoke this. Yep, get loaded before we get buffs. Us instead of him going buff, the shaman, you'd sit there basically in his teepee, getting high.
Yeah.
Okay. We took it way to the left there.
I like to see the weapons like war clubs. More type of wooden type weaponry with stones, attached to it.
Stone or even made of bone.
Yeah.
Kind of primitive,
Yeah. Primitive. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Like what's it? Tomahawks, stuff like that as well. I like to see that type more weaponry. So.
Well, yeah, because the tomahawk normally would be like a one-handed slashing. Shamans really would never have a one-handed slashing ability, so it'd have to be more of a blunt weapon.
Well, that's why you get a two-handed club or a two-handed warhammer, like so to speak, but not necessarily.
Well, don't forget the old shamans,
Or you could do like, because the druids, they can only have the cutlass or whatever it is. They can only have that one-handed. Slashing, so maybe a tomahawk is the only one-handed slashing that a shaman can equip.
I like to see a tomahawk. I think tomahawks, more American native type weaponry, clubs, tomahawks, single-handed weapons.
But don't forget,
like, what if they did weapon classifications in terms of like it's a primitive weapon? So then you could say a shaman can use it regardless of what type of damage it is, because it's a primitive weapon.
Well, it still has to do with skill. If you're leveling up blunt versus slashing versus, poking or whatever. Piercing. Poking, piercing, whatever.
Don't forget all these ritual shamans, they had staffs as well, though. They had these high staffs with the chime on the top.
Yeah, I always ran around with a spear and a shield, so...
Yeah, I like to see more of that type of stuff, but... Definitely more wooden, stone orientated type. Not a whole lot of metals, because they're going to be using healing principles, spirit control.
Instead of a shield, what you would never see a shaman with a shield. You would see a shaman with a totem or with a like a rope with skulls on his offhand. Something cool.
Yeah,
like
a totem. Yeah, like a totem in one hand. That could be like a bear totem, a eagle totem, a wolf totem,
scepter or something.
Yep. Yeah, something they can hold in their hand that's a secondary type thing. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like Dark Soul and Mega said, have shamans not use any metal weapon, all natural components, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to go. I mean, that's a true shaman. Stick with the true shaman idea, and people love that. They'd love to have that.
Are you, any questions from the crowd?
Leather armor.
Joshua Monk says, also, what about using a shaman's alchemy to make range damage potions, poison, spirit, etc.?
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was talking about, like using the potions in battle against the mobs, not just as we consume them or sell them to other players, like actually having the potions be more beneficial to the situations.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying, I've got all these potions of Spirit of the Wolf in my backpack. Well, what happens if I throw them at a monster?
Yeah.
Maybe they burn, maybe they make slower because,
or maybe the Spirit of the Wolf consumes them, turns them into a wolf, and now their AC goes down because now they're a squishy wolf. I don't know.
Yeah, it should basically what benefits us.
Should use to have some fun.
Yep, what benefits us should be like unbeneficial towards the NPC. What benefits the NPC should be unbeneficial to us. Kind of mix and match.
Yeah, just as long as you keep it spiritual.
Yep.
Keep with the idea of what a shaman is. It deals with evil and good spirits.
Yeah, I mean, like with using the Spirit of the Wolf potion example. Spirit of Wolf, well, we're allies, so they're going to make us run faster. Well, this orc isn't an ally, so those spirits are going to bite it.
Yeah, so now that the Spirit of Wolf is attacking it, or using it maybe as an offensive thing, but it's only a duration, a small, durational spell.
Yeah, that's what Firesmith.
But that's
I
the thing
agree.
I would like to see on their armor. Let's say like something that goes across, like your shotgun shells that go across your body, but maybe they're like potion vials, and using them in combat. That would be kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, because
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
But let's get back. But let's go back into this though, right? Because we've been talking about this a lot.
Drums.
So,
don't forget drums.
Yep. So, but the thing is though, we've all been talking about him being a spiritual healer, etc., etc., etc.
Gotta stick to that.
So, should he be able to heal just as good as a different class? Coming back to that discussion, because technically he's a spiritual healer.
Well, here's the thing: if you take into account damage that you have prevented, plus the amount of healing output that you have, you should be on the same level as a cleric. The only thing is that a cleric, the healing is going to be way above how much damage that they can prevent. So that's what evens them out.
Yeah, and also when you slow the mobs, you're reducing the incoming damage, which should be you should be able to keep up with heal. Like, there's so many things that factor into it, each different healing thing. So if you're doing your job correctly, you should have no problem.
Yep, you should get because basically, if you think about spiritual healer, he should have the ability as well as the healer to prevent a death, and it should be only a shaman-specific ability. Yeah,
Spirit of Sloth should be the slow spell. Spirit of Sloth.
There you go.
That's what the shaman should have. He should have a special ability. Just
there should be something like on the tank. Well, I have 10 hit points left and I just get hit. Well, because you're a shaman, you prevented my death and it actually gave me a decent sized heal. It's like, boom. Yes. I love my shaman.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just looking at some American Native Indian shields and armor.
That's the thing, Dark Soul. It varies from game to game. In EQ2, for instance, the shamans, they would ward you instead of hot you. That would be the druids that hot you. That's why we're kind of going through all this debate.
Eagle feather staff.
Because you have
I'm just looking at all
your
this
clevics, you have your druids, you have your shamans.
I did group with the cleric or whatever, right? I would take care of all the little heals, the in between heals or whatever. But basically the cleric would concentrate on the tank because he's taking the most damage. But I would keep everybody else in the group's health up. Most of the time when you group with another healing class.
Yeah.
I mean,
in order to keep everything balanced, to keep every healer in a very like king of the hill in their own special way. You've got clerics with the heals, you got the druids with the hots, and then you got shamans with basically straight up damage prevention. However they want to do that.
Yes.
I mean,
and everyone can work together.
Yeah, it's cool. I think every class should have a unique ability that's going to be so cool on the battlefield that can either be a save or break it moment. Make it to where it's like, like we said, the Dire Lord, he could just up and kill everybody in the group or something for that last crazy kill, something like that. Just something really cool and unique to each class. That's an awesome ability. But like we said, it's on a special cooldown. You can't just do it every time.
It's like in some games where it's like your ultimate ability. You can only use it once every 5 minutes.
So your tank drops. Maybe the shaman can summon the tank spirit to fight in its place while the cleric's trying to get him healed.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
It's almost like giving your tank an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Exactly.
Bingo.
He gets 20 seconds as a spirit to
whack on the mob some more.
To whack on the mob while the cleric or whoever else, or the necro, whoever's resurrecting him, gets him back up or something.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, they make it a real interesting tactical challenge for the group. Because it'd be funny, the group's watching the tank beat on this thing, all of a sudden the tank goes down, poof! All of a sudden a spirit tank pops up and it's holding, and everybody's like freaking out. What the hell? The tank's down, but there's this ghost. It'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Every now and then I'd want to die just to see it.
I know, right? Just let them die just to see it happen.
If
you have a shaman in the group,
let me die. Watch this.
Oops. I forgot, guys. We didn't have a shaman in the group.
that's how they balanced the healing in EverQuest 2. I mean, the shaman, he had 3 heals. That was it. Boom, 3 wards he had. He had his single group ward, his normal group ward, and then his special, and that was it. And it took him a very long time. He would ward the people for 30,000 hit points. He'd cast his ward, boom. When those 30,000 hit points have either been absorbed by a one hit or over time, that's it. The ward's gone. The cleric would do.
Monk, I like that.
He would do a direct heal. So every time the group got hit, they would get healed.
We're going to call the spirit lingering ghost.
And the same as with the druids. The druids would heal over time. They would cast a heal over time, and they would just constantly heal. If you're getting damage or not, they would heal. And that's how they balanced it in EverQuest 2, which was kind of cool. It had it put every healer had its special way of dealing with the healing portion, where the main focus for the shaman was the same as it was in EverQuest 1. He was the buffer. He put buffs on you, he debuffed, etc, etc, etc. So he kept his class-specific role throughout the entire time as well.
Yeah, I like what Firesmith said too. Even the possibility of going back to native lore, like the shaman to have a special ability where he can either summon a white warrior or become the warrior himself for a brief period of time during battle. That would be cool too. Something like that along the lines. I mean, it'd be awesome. Just as long as we kind of keep to the spirit world and spiritual, fighting and damage and
that could be
warding spirits away, bringing spirits in. I mean,
that could be something that happens when the shaman
Lord with the blood magic. Same thing.
When the shaman drops dead, he could he could turn into a spirit, and that would for 10 seconds or whatever, it would carry on. It would he'd do a massive damage, something like that. Yeah. You should definitely be spirit. You should definitely be spirit wise, completely focused on spiriting. You'd have because your cleric's your arcane, your shaman is spirit, and your druid is nature.
Yeah, your druid's more of a nature type, so it's not taken away from the druid at all.
Exactly.
So if the druid's out there like, but no, man, that's supposed to be my bear. Well, no. See, the shaman's bear's dead while your bear's alive. See, there's a difference.
Yeah, you're controlling a live bear, and I'm controlling a spirit bear.
Yeah, you have a bear. I have the spirit of all bears.
Yeah, because the druid, basically, the druid, he's the one that can whisper with the animals.
Well, he can coax them in. Hey, here's a piece of cracker. Come here. He can bring squirrels in too.
Yeah.
So we have druid squirrels. That's what they should do. Just give the druid a squirrel for a pet.
Hey. Don't start bashing on the druid. You're treading on thin ice there, matey.
No, it's gonna be what's his name? Bullwinkle, and the squirrel.
So, any thoughts out there from chat?
Spirit of T-Rex deals insane damage while shamans did. Yeah.
Question: is there a possibility going back? We covered that one already. Yeah. Let's have a look.
Variety of pets. Yeah, we did cover that.
Right, but just while we're waiting to see if any questions pop up, next week we will not. This is also news for Dow, so get ready, Dow. News for you. We will not be covering a class next week. We've been talking off and on, always about crafting. So we're gonna change it a bit to make it interesting. Because it gets boring after a while hearing us talking about class after class after class. So next week we're gonna do our first crafting part, and we're gonna talk about crafting because we have a lot of crazy ideas that we really want to get out there.
Should we pick a couple different crafting things, or just crafting in general?
It's good.
I think crafting in general, because we'll end up probably generating a bunch of ideas.
Yep. It's more
the four of us idiots getting together. We can create some weird stuff.
I mean, it's more of basically next week. What I had planned was more of the ideas we've been tossing out so far, not speculating on crafting so much, but more ideas, throwing ideas towards the devs and Pantheon and what crafters should be able to do and this, that, and the other. That's more of the general thought for next week. But we'll see how it goes. We'll make it an open crafting discussion, and we'll just toss ideas and thoughts out there.
Both. I think they should have both specific crafting for class-specific crafting and general everybody crafting.
Yep. Well, we'll talk about that next week. So no show next week about classes. We've covered 1/3 so far, and then we'll see where it goes. How do you craft a Leksur? Well, that's a question we'll cover next week.
Put styrofoam, honey,
a lot of alcohol,
and some alcohol into a bottle, and you mix it up, stir it, and wait for about 10 minutes.
Yep. Had lots of salt.
And
Anything
salt.
else on shamans?
I don't know, man. I just think people should go research American Native Indians and look at the stuff and the different types of breastplates they actually built out of bone and wood and sticks and stuff like that. You'd be amazed at how some of that was protective.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, white sand, they used to use a lot of ash around them as well. They would create, put an ash circle around them to keep the bad spirits away.
fires, totems,
Yeah,
bones,
totems. Yep.
I mean, yeah,
trinkets.
with developer-wise, I mean, you have
Awesome.
hundreds of years of history that you can
Right
draw
there.
upon for
Well, it's
inspiration,
like,
so
you
why
know,
not?
everybody talks about how
Exactly.
lore brings people in, right? Well, this is a class that is rich in lore because of its
Yep.
actual nature.
Exactly.
So if you can integrate some of the actual physical world lore into this, it's just going to make it that much more in depth. You know.
It gives you that uniqueness. You know, it's nobody's ever done it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever, you talk about druids, you talk about shadow knights, you talk about paladins, you talk about shamans. Alone these four classes, and you look at the way they've been
Twisted.
formulated and twisted throughout the years in the MMOs, and it's written there in text for you to actually read on and actually go the proper
Implement.
direction, implement. It's there. They should use it. Enchanters,
Well, it's like,
summoners.
you talk about, you just said Crusaders, right? So why wouldn't they go into, like back in the day whenever the Crusaders were, the Pope and all of that, like take some of that lore and bring it into
Yep.
the class.
Dungeon
too.
and Dragon
How
background.
they fought, what kind of gear did they have? How, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
stuff like that.
Yeah, use a lot of the periodic type, the gear, periodic type time frames, and actually use that stuff to your advantage, and implement it. Because believe it or not, a lot of people can actually relate to that stuff because it's real life.
And plus it gives us, it doesn't make you too special as well. Like for instance, like we said, if the shaman spirit wise, basically, if he's focused on spiriting, he's not always going to be, your preferred choice, your best choice. He's not always going to have an advantage. He's going to have disadvantages depending on which zone he goes to, what monsters he's going to fight against, etc.
Cold.
Like
We gotta think.
Yep.
The environments and all that, they just released some awesome information on that too, which we should cover one of these days. But like the atmosphere is like cold, hot, humid, scorching. There's gonna be like 6 different environments they've released so far. That's gonna really play havoc on your life in the game itself. So so they could do a lot of stuff with the shaman on this, and
because every class, if you want it to be unique, it's got to have its disadvantages and advantages. You can't be the all great one. Yeah.
No.
You have to have your disadvantages. So that means you're gonna have,
Well,
as a
it's
druid, you're gonna have to suck it up.
Yeah,
No,
because you
sorry.
had invisibility, but you didn't have invisibility versus undead. So you had to go find a Shadow Knight or a Cleric to cast invisibility versus undead.
Or
which is
the
also another
shaman.
reason there should have been no reason why a shaman could be able to make that potion invisibility versus undead if they can't even cast the damn spell.
Or the
That gave
shaman
them
can
an
give
advantage.
you a potion that puts you into the spirit world.
Coming from the Dire Lord corner, I would like to see less undead specific stuff in my toolbox. See the shaman pick that stuff up because it would make a lot more sense.
I mean, it's
so I may not be able to invis you versus undead, but the shaman can.
But the shaman could, or the shaman can give you the ability to go through spirit world and do spirit travel, But nothing can hurt you while you're traveling through the spirit, and then it wears off. Boom! Now you're back into normality. Guess what? You're
running through a pack going, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please.
Yeah, please don't kill me. I'm in Kithkar Forest. Don't wear off.
That would be cool. Yeah, instead of invisibility, you go into spirit form, and that's how you can. But other undead shit would see you, but just not any humanoids or animals would see you.
Yep.
I mean, it gives you the advantage why you have that druid or that shaman in that group at that specific time, because you're going into a world where there's a lot of undead things going on. So you want to get through there really safe. Have a shaman with you, mate. You want safe travels through this forest because it's full of the living.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it this way. You could do spirit travel, and the only thing that can actually hurt you is the animals, because the animals can see your spirit.
Yeah.
But like, say the undead clown here, with the gigantic sword and skull and flames coming out of his head, and he's a big pile of bone, can't see you. But that grizzly bear over there just freaking ate you for lunch.
You'd be like, what was that?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell just got me? That skeleton that looks so fearsome and deadly, all of a sudden I just got whacked by a frickin' penguin out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, because we were
That would be
talking.
cool.
Let's go back to the Dire Lord anyway, because we talked about that a day after, real quick. That thought we had about the Dire Lord attracting the undead, and basically the thing is, if he's the king of the Dire Lord, Lex actually thought about this, and it makes a really good point. If he's the king of the undead, then technically they should not aggro to him.
No, they're drawn to him. I didn't say they had to aggro him.
They're drawn to him.
They're drawn to him, which he's a hamper. He's a hamper to the group because he's bringing in more crap that you have to kill. Because they want to unite with him, and they want him to lead them on the battlefield, is what I'm saying with that idea. Was he's the king of the dead, supposedly, kind of like he's like the commander, the field commander of the dead army. He could raise a dead army and go smack down a town. But that's the problem for the group, is he can be a hamper in the group, is what I'm saying. It can make a dynamic to the group, is that if there's a couple undead wandering around, they're like, oh, hey, come on, commander, take us. We want to lead, we want a leader. He's actually kind of a hamper, is what I'm saying. Use that. Unique ability, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
it would be very cool. There are some drawbacks to that, though. Like if we take EverQuest 1, A State of Unrest, that's primarily undead in there. As a Dire Lord, if the undead are on my side, what am I going to do? I'm going to go run into the rare spawns, and I'm going to camp the crap out of them. Because it's easier for me to get there. No one can hurt me. I can just kill the mob, walk away from my computer, come back in 5 minutes, do it again.
Yeah, but just that same scenario, if a shaman has that same thing, but with spirits or whatever, they're going to be some other named in a different zone that he's going to have the exact same benefit that you won't. So the minute that you need to go get an item from that mob, guess what? You're going to need to recruit a shaman to help you. Or vice versa.
But if you're attracting them, like being the downfall of the group kind of thing, chances are they'll never pick me up because people are going to be so ingrained that the last time I used a Dire Lord, all these undead came and we died.
That's only
no.
Zone.
But
That's only in that one scenario.
Exactly. It's not going to be like you got 40 zombies wandering around on the battlefield and they all come to your group. You got to think outside the box.
Then basically, guess what? You ain't going to be camping in that zone. You're not going to be finding groups in that zone. You're going to go find groups in other zones.
No, don't make it hard, guys. You're making this extremely hard and difficult.
So basically what I'm hearing is, yes, you attract them, but it's only
you attract them.
It's a friendly aggro to me.
A friendly aggro to you. Yes.
It's almost like saying their pathing is more in my direction, not a super amount, but it will be altered. Like say, if their path is like this. I'm over here. It's going to dip, and then it's going to go back like that.
And it might bring them to you. Yes, it might attract you. Them to you.
They'll be like, as soon as they get close to them, they're like, I smell. I smell.
I smell.
I said that last week. I said you give the Dire Lord, say, let's just for instance, a 40 millimeter or meter radius. Okay, a 40 meter radius. Any undead that might be wandering through the forest hits that radius, all of a sudden it's like, bam, hey, there's a Dire Lord over here. I want to unite with the king and go take out this village and burn all these people. Right. It's going to be a friendly aggro, so he'll actually draw them to the group. And guess what? They might not even aggro on the group members. But now he's got to figure out a way to get rid of these idiots. You see what I'm saying? Right. Now he's got his little entourages following him around, which might not even help in a fight.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So now you just got you got a parade following you.
I'm a little more on the side of that.
That's funny.
He's got a parade following, man.
Okay.
Yeah?
Right, so
anyway,
clarified. Back to Shaman.
Idea. Hey, look, I knew somebody was going to pick apart that idea.
Back to Shaman. Any further thoughts on the Shaman? Anything come to mind right now? Go poof. Oh, that's a good idea as well. Now it's the time.
I love what Bond just said. 300 zombies coming to the battlefield to hug the close to the Dire Lord. Yeah, see, you give you big hugs on the battlefield. Leksur, you'd be important.
I'm popular for the first time in my life.
Yes, exactly. You're popular the first time in your life.
I mean, because these kind of ideas, having each class have a kind of connection to the environment itself
would be cool.
It's really cool. It gives there's no favoritism anymore. You do not have your favorite. I want that tank. I want that healer. I want that because he's gonna have. He might be a total douche and attract everything that you don't like, or that's gonna beat you down. So there's no favoritism.
And it also depends on what season is it, what zone is it in, what day versus night,
Wow,
winter
Leksur, you got
versus
jet
summer,
fighters.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
No, but I think each class should have a cool ability. It's just there's no favoritism.
How will shamans find their spells?
They need to go on a spirit quest. They need to go into a tent, get high, and go on a spirit quest.
Yeah, I think like what we discussed with all the other spells, and not given to you.
Yep.
Maybe you could purchase it from a guy, make a crafter be able to craft a spell. I mean, you could do all sorts of ranges with the spells.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be the same for every class.
No, it doesn't, because then it gives you reasons to go with this guy to here. It gives you a reason to go with this girl over here.
It gives you a reason to group.
Go to group.
Yeah.
Yes, because now you have to work together to achieve these things with other people.
So like the shaman, like it was just tossed in, he would have to go into the spirit world or whatever. The summoner would have to, go out to vast mountains and get his spells and talk to tons of people. It doesn't have to be the same.
Well, he would have to study. Yeah, he would have to learn.
Why do we have to have ding? Everybody gets their spells, or ding, you go to your thing. They can do it differently. We're all asking for challenge, for more immersion, etc. You have, for instance, shamans, druids, summoners. What else do we have? We have enchanters. Those are classes basically that use wisdom, a lot of thought. They have a long thought process, so they would have to do maybe a lot of reading and find books and stuff like that. Whereas your crusader, your warrior, they're your typical beat down people, so they would go and beat down and get their spells.
I'd like to see too, there would be sound effects for shamans, like that might be chanting, because they use chants too, like a spell effect where he actually chants and you can actually hear the sound effect in the entire group, or even if you're wandering by a group, you could hear the shaman blurt out a chant.
Yep.
And it might be like a 2-minute, 3-minute chant.
You hear the bones clicking together as he's walking.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just stuff like that to really give the environment a sense of that you're there, immersion and stuff. I think people would really love that. Well, the Dire Lord walks by and his feet are on fire. You can hear the flames hoofing.
I mean, like even coming from the Dire Lord perspective, I would much rather go on a side quest to learn one of my key spells than to go to a bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a sense of, and plus you can go with other players and they can help you, and they get to go to a new zone to help you find out something, because they might want to play a Dire Lord later on, Yep. I mean, that's why a lot of people did certain classes in EverQuest, is because you get to tag along and learn about another class's spell. I remember I used to run Shaman Epic Quest in EverQuest 1. I used to do that all the time because people looked me up and the guild up, because we would take people through it because we knew the quest so well. We could get a shaman their epic within 30-40 minutes. It was just that easy, So stuff like that. It's just gotta make it cool and unique.
Yep. Make it,
Stick to class uniqueness.
You can like it was said, you have your basic start off spells, and the others can be acquired many other ways. It doesn't. Why do we have to? Why do we have to think? Why do we have to think always in the same dimensions what we're stuck in now? Yeah, we're Pantheon are looking for something unique. We're looking for something unique and challenging. Then give us that challenge. Give us more options to attain our spells. So you could ding and get a spell. You could also have to go on a quest to get a spell. You might have to go in, try and learn a spell.
A mob.
Yep,
You might have an epic quest spell even.
Epic quest spell,
quest.
Exactly.
Oh,
Give us more variants.
One thing that's always really annoying me with a lot of modern MMOs is that there's nothing to them anymore. Nothing.
Yeah.
No, they
You
suck.
rush through the levels, you get all your stuff, and you're like, oh, gee, what do I do now? Well, I'm going to
Thanks
play another
for
game while I wait
playing.
for an expansion.
Thanks for paying $70
do
for the
dailies and grind
same old
factions.
you played in that game.
Yeah. I mean, show me an MMO where you couldn't get to the end game within 80 hours.
Yeah.
And then you look at EverQuest 1, when that game first came out, people weren't max level for 6 months.
Years, 2
People
years,
didn't know
3
all the
years.
crafting stuff until years later.
Yeah, and there's still stuff in EverQuest right now that people haven't even found. Do you know that? There's
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
hidden in the game still
Actually,
that people haven't come across yet.
I had talked to a guy who had worked on the original EverQuest project years ago. He said at that point in time, which was 5 or 6 years ago, he said that only 60% of the quests have ever been found. I mean, think about that. The game's what, 17 years old?
Yeah, and people still haven't completed it all.
We actually covered that, Gigaiety. We actually covered the pulling the spirit corpses out of the Undertaker possession.
The dead beast of the corpse for party temp buff. Yeah, we just covered a lot of spiritual stuff.
Yep. I mean, it's, you know, we want something really challenging and different. We don't want the same old, you know. Go to, hey, guess what? Hey, in chat, where do I find this where do I get this guy? Go there and there. He's here.
I don't just want a game. I want an experience.
Yep.
I want to experience something really cool and research things, look things
up. And I want to make friends along the way.
Share information, with friends.
I want to talk to people 10 years down the road that I met in the game. Like, do you remember this?
A game journal.
It's like, oh my god!
Or they'll be like, no, because I never took part in that event, and then we can go, well, that was amazing because of what we talked about. An in-game
journal too, man, where you can actually document where you found this, what you found, who was carrying this, because guess what? It might change to else, but you have a documentation. You're creating lore.
Before the whole, if the developer said, you know, every year we're just going to kind of mix up where all the loot stuff is. You know, same level range, but just from different places or different people. I'd be all for that. 'Cause it's like, I'm going to go farm, you know, this blue wizard robe. Well, I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden now it's like, well, it's not here. Why not? Because it was changed. I mean, someone else has it now.
That's
I don't know.
Like what I was saying, like during the summer, an orc camp maybe is where that camp is, but during the winter, an ice goblins come in and take over that camp. You know, so that changes up everything for that cycle. You know.
Yeah.
Changes up loot, changes up quests, changes up everything based on the environment.
Yeah, cataclysmic events, map pieces dropping randomly.
It's like Dark Souls Omega said.
Actually build a map.
Multi-part quests, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Don't just give us one quest. Go from A to B, or go and kill
FedEx
that.
Quest. I like
give
to
us
call them FedEx quest.
Even every 5 levels, you revisit an ongoing quest or something like that. I mean, that's pretty cool too. So you do a quest, you get an item. That item is only good for a few levels. Once you hit a certain level, guess what? Somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, you helped my mom out with saving our farm. She wants to talk to you again."
Yep, exactly.
So you go back there, and now you take that same mace that you earned 5 levels ago, and now you grow on that same quest. So you're still helping that same person or building on that same quest line.
Or that story.
It's like in real life, guys. Right? When you're hungry, what do? You go on a quest. You go shopping. You buy your stuff. So you've gone shopping. That's the first part of the quest. You bring your shopping home. That's the second part of the quest. You cook your shopping. That's the third part of the quest. And finally, you eat your shopping. That's the final part. You know, it's a long quest. It's a long period, and that's how quests should be.
Yes, they should.
I sent my wife on that quest, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna send my wife on that quest too. Yes, the state quest is complete.
I only partaken in the last step, which is consuming.
Wait, we forgot the A1 sauce. Damn it. Let's go back. We gotta do the part where we get the A1 steak sauce.
But but the thing is though, Dan, what happens when you go there? You go on an alternative quest again because you go on a quest.
Now we get distracted because Leksur brings over. Oh, Hunt's 57. Damn it. Now it's a choice. Hunt's 57 or A1.
Now what we're saying is basically quests shouldn't be, you know, they shouldn't put thousands of quests in the game. They should put more quests that actually drive you throughout the game.
Yes, that tell a story, that have an actual meaning and purpose. Not, hey, kill 40 rats and guess what? You earned yourself this silver super awesome mace.
Yep.
That craps rabbits.
Yeah, they got some amazing lore writers. Let's use them.
Yep, exactly. And you know, if you guys don't have any ideas there, VR, we'll help you out.
Yeah, we'll help you out. We'll throw some stuff. We're even pulling stuff from chat for you guys.
Yep.
Because there's some good ideas out here that folks would love to see.
They should just jump into TeamSpeak when we're just, you know, during it.
Write it down. Taking notes.
Yeah. They're probably writing this stuff down. Yes, make sure shamans are spiritual. Don't screw this one up. Oh, and make sure there's a staff that craps rabbits. That's actually a good idea.
Yep.
I
We
can
need
just see
our
it now in the
critters.
office. Hey guys, scrap the shaman. We did it wrong.
Yeah, screw yeah. Start over.
Yep.
But yeah, there's some awesome ideas out there. Awesome.
That's why we do the shows, because we can always revisit it, and we can, keep on revisiting it and looking at the ideas and keeping them forward. That's why that's why I decided to stay away from the forums, because it's messy in the forums.
Exactly.
And
yeah, some of the forums are starting to get a little crazy, especially a lot of those crazies out there that just are way
I don't
too
even
out.
think people realize that being so negative and so quick to jump to on a certain tangent is hurting a game that you obviously are into, or you wouldn't be in there. It's like, when you join a game, you go and you ask someone a question and people make fun of you. That hurts the game. That means I'm probably going to leave the game. I'm going to tell all my friends that this community sucks, so don't play this game. There's another 5, 10, 15 people that aren't going to play the game. And then eventually the community is going to be cut down and dried up, and there's only going to be these dickheads left. And then what's going to happen? The game's dead.
because the problem with the forums is basically as well what I've personally realized is it's kind of simple. It's a simple thought process that people invest into their forum posts. There's not a lot of thinking out of the box like we're doing here with these shows. This gives us the advantage to actually, spike an interest or spike an idea and everything, and actually twist it and pull it apart to get to the point. In the forums, you misunderstand
and
a lot.
Light too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a negative thought, like I want my druid to be able to change into 5 women and 6 dudes, and it must be that way, and they must have romantic relations. Stupid crap like that, folks. Dumb stuff.
Yep.
Well,
We're
yeah,
talking about a
if
game.
something like that isn't in the game, does it really matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No.
I want my character to be able to have romances. No.
I mean, it's like
Build that. It's stupid.
Yeah,
It's
go
just
play
dumb
Sims.
stuff.
I mean, this
Go play
is
Sims, yeah.
it's like
Go play the Sims.
What we've been doing, right? This is all based on speculation, reading, and there's nothing what we're saying is set in stone or it's actually going to happen or anything. We could talk about this and the shaman
and
or
none of
the
it comes
whatever,
together.
something else happens,
Yeah.
But the idea why we're doing this is because we want to give the devs ideas. They're trying to bring
positive
Yeah.
ideas.
Yep, they're trying to
That's
bring
right.
the game and the genre
Bring your
itself
friends
into the
this
next.
channel, so we have stuff to talk about
Yep.
and discuss and questions and
Well,
whatever. 'Cause right now we're
it's-
just making up questions. Send us tells in Discord if you guys have questions about
Yeah.
things.
I
stuff
stream
like
every
that.
weekday. If you tell me something in my channel while I'm streaming about Pantheon, I'm gonna write that stuff down.
Yeah.
I'll address it at some point, or I'll bring it to us.
I mean,
But
we're looking. We told you we're going to bring devs on the show, and we're lucky. We actually got the community manager to pop on here, and we're hoping to have future devs actually show up on here. So, folks, stay tuned to the channel because they want to go to positive places and get positive feedback and see the different ideas. But if you go to the forums, you write down some stupid crap, or you don't think this is right, and you're just you're whining about it, but you don't make a nice positive suggestion, chances are they're not going to listen to you, and I wouldn't want to listen to you either.
Because there's feedback.
That's what we are. We're a positive feedback show here. That's what we're trying
If
to
you're
do, give them feedback.
if you're gonna criticize something or tear apart an idea, you have to give value to it, and the best way to do it is by talking about it and staying calm. I mean, the game is a long way away for release. Yeah, we're looking at least 2018 is the earliest this game is going to be released.
Yeah, right now we're speculating. And just speculation disclaimer really quick. Guys, like we said, we're speculating on a lot of ideas here. We're shooting shit, stuff like that. But ultimately, remember, this is not what Pantheon's implementing or putting in, but they might take ideas from us. We've been told the devs actually watch and listen to some of our ideas and critiques. So please remember that, but we are speculating. We're not actually developers either because we were confused. People thought we were devs at one time.
Yeah. We're old school
wannabe
gamers.
devs.
We know what we like, we know what we don't
Wannabe
like.
devs,
We're tired of what we're seeing.
But what I was trying to get to is, guys, the more people that actually partake in our discussions, who send us questions, the more chances we have of getting these thoughts heard towards the deaths and having these ideas that everybody generates pushed into the game, because we could all sit there quietly and moan about it and then complain afterwards with a loud mouth, or we can actually actively talk about it, discuss it, go through it, and make a change. If you actually have an idea, toss it out there. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter how stupid it might sound to you, toss it out there, because the more people partake in the discussions and actually get active with the thought process, the more chances we have of having the game that we want.
Communicating, yes, exactly. Communicating the idea out there.
This is a visual and verbal forum, basically.
Right, so I think we've covered this show more than
more than anything. Hour and 30 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, this is our longest show, I think.
No, not quite. Not quite.
We're
not
close.
Quite. But so we're going to the closing statements. I think we've annoyed people enough with our
don't be negative
stuff. Anyway, so we'll start off with Kodiack. Kodiack, your closing thoughts, statement.
Just make them awesome. That's it.
All right, then.
Because I'm going to be playing a shaman for sure, so just make me awesome.
Yeah, but don't cry. Yeah, but don't cry if he doesn't become awesome, though.
Yeah. Don't complain if all my ideas come to light.
Dire Lord doesn't mean anything.
I mean, I do want to use Alchemy. I want to use Alchemy as in fights, not just as consumables.
No, the first one he's going to do is trying to create the peyote potion and have frickin' sweat lodges. You know that.
Yeah.
Game.
Lex, your show.
I'm really excited about Dal's suggestion about taking more influence from the Native American. I think stylistically it would be a breath of fresh air, and it would fit very, very well. If they added more visual stuff, there would be more spirits, however they want to do it, to the spell effects or particles or what have you. That I think would also give you much more of the I'm a shaman feel, not just I'm a guy who buffs.
Yeah.
Thing.
Witch Doctor too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dal, your thoughts?
Not really. I mean, the big thing is I love to see them take from the Native American shaman ideas and look at the different tribes on the Native Americans, and look at all the different aspects they could travel, take that inspiration, and stick with the spiritual influence. That's what a shaman really is more of a spiritual influence and healer that way, rather than clerical type healing or paladin type, but stick more to that and basic kind of primitive, stone weapons, wood weapons, stuff like that, bones, and spirit animals. Stick with that type of stuff.
Yep. And that's what I can say, basically. Agree completely with the guys, spiritual. And don't be afraid to give, a class an advantage and a disadvantage. They don't have to all be, I'm special. They don't have to all have special needs and be, the most awesome class. They should have their disadvantages and advantages, and they should really look towards real life events. Shamans, druids, stuff like that. Look into the story of these spiritual creatures.
Yeah, I just, one more thing, just make sure that they keep the classes unique in their own way, make it special to the individual player who's playing it, but at the same time also make sure that each class has its disadvantages.
Pros and cons to each one.
Yep, pros and cons to each one.
And with that, guys, next week we will have our first open crafting discussion. So we'll have something different for you guys next week. We'll take a pause from talking about classes, and
are we going to mention anything about the?
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
No.
It's coming,
Still
guys.
ironing
It's
out
coming.
a few things.
Yep.
Yeah. It's coming, guys.
With that, I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep watching. A lot of stuff is coming. It's going to be cool. So we'll see you next week, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.
See you later.
Yes, it'll be on YouTube.